What if Marvel's next Black Panther isn't the actor everyone's been talking about? And what if the X-Men reboot completely changes the future of the MCU? New reports suggest Marvel is making casting choices that could shock fans worldwide. At the beginning of this year, Marvel fans were left in the dark. The studio had confirmed the X-Men were coming, but the details were practically non-existent. No casting news, no big announcements, just silence. But then the whispers began. Insiders started hinting that Marvel wasn't just recasting the mutants, they were going younger, much younger, than anyone expected. At first, it sounded impossible. After all, fans are used to seeing their favorite characters played by big-name stars, actors who already had a legacy. But Marvel has officially confirmed the move. The X-Men reboot will feature a younger cast. And this isn't just about one film, it's a calculated strategy. By introducing actors in their late teens or early 20s, Marvel isn't just making another superhero movie. They're laying the groundwork for characters who could grow with the MCU for the next decade, maybe even longer. Think about it. When we first met the original Avengers lineup, most of the actors were already in their 30s or older. But with this new approach, Marvel could lock in talent who are still at the start of their careers, giving them room to evolve on-screen and off. It's a bold move, and it changes everything about how fans should look at the future of the franchise. But the X-Men weren't the only project making headlines. At the exact same time Marvel was circling a younger cast for the mutants, another name kept surfacing in conversations about one of the most important roles in the MCU, T'Challa. For months, the internet buzzed with the same rumor that actor Damson Idris was Marvel's top choice to step into the role of Black Panther. And then things took a turn. In a recent interview, Idris himself confirmed that he had actually spoken with Marvel Studios about the part. That single moment changed everything. It wasn't just rumor anymore, it was proof that Marvel was actively searching for their new T'Challa. But here's the catch, talking to Marvel doesn't mean the role is locked. Idris may be in the running, but he's far from the only contender. And that's where the speculation gets even more interesting. When it comes to Marvel rumors, one name has built a reputation that's hard to ignore, Jeff Snyder. Over the past few years, his scoops have lined up with official announcements again and again. He was the first to drop Sadie Sink's connection to Marvel, and just months later, she was confirmed for Spider-Man, Brand New Day. He even nailed the shocking report of Robert Downey Jr. returning as Dr. Doom before the news went public. So when Snyder speaks, fans listen. And now, he's back with a new update, one that ties directly into both the X-Men reboot and the search for the next T'Challa. According to his latest report, Marvel has already narrowed their focus. And while Damson Idris is still in the mix, Snyder claims another surprising name has entered the conversation. That new name is David Johnson, and if you haven't heard of him, you're not alone. At just 22 years old, Johnson has only a handful of TV credits and no major movie roles to his name. On paper, he's the complete opposite of what many fans were expecting. But that's exactly why this rumor feels so believable. Marvel has a long history of turning relative unknowns into global superstars. Think about it, Chris Hemsworth was barely known outside Australia before Thor, and Tom Holland was far from a household name when he was cast as Spider-Man. By betting on fresh faces, Marvel not only keeps production costs under control but also gives audiences a clean slate, actors who can fully become their characters without being overshadowed by past roles. Johnson may not be a familiar name today, but that could be the point. If Marvel is serious about locking in actors who can carry these roles for decades, someone like Johnson fits their playbook perfectly. Marvel isn't just casting for the next movie, they're casting for the next era of the MCU. When you look at their history, the pattern is clear. Every time Marvel introduces a new hero, they're not just thinking about one film, they're planning how that character will grow across 10, maybe even 20 years of stories. And that's exactly why younger, lesser-known actors make so much sense right now. Take Chadwick Boseman as an example. When he first stepped into the role of T'Challa, he was already in his mid-30s. By comparison, if someone like David Johnson, just 22, is given the role, he could still be younger than Boseman was even after a full decade of films. That means Marvel could realistically map out entire story arcs for him that last through multiple phases of the MCU. The same strategy worked wonders with Tom Holland. When Marvel chose him for Spider-Man, he wasn't a global star yet. That gave audiences the chance to grow with him, to see Peter Parker evolve from a teenager to a full-fledged hero over time. Fans didn't associate him with other blockbuster roles, he was Spider-Man from the moment he appeared on screen. And then there's the flip side, what happens when you cast actors who are already huge stars? Someone like Pedro Pascal is incredibly talented, but audiences can't help but see all the characters he's played before, whether it's in The Mandalorian or The Last of Us. It creates a different dynamic, and sometimes it makes it harder for fans to fully accept them as a new Marvel hero. Marvel knows this. By betting on rising talent, they keep costs manageable, they build new stars from scratch, and most importantly, they ensure that fans see these actors first and foremost as their characters. That's how you create the next Wolverine, the next Iron Man, the next Black Panther. Someone who doesn't just play the role for a few years, but defines it for a generation. Now, here's where things get messy. While insiders like Jeff Snyder insist that Marvel is already moving forward with casting, major Hollywood outlets have reported the exact opposite, that the process hasn't even begun. So who's telling the truth? The answer likely comes down to timing. Marvel has a very specific rhythm when it comes to hiring. Casting doesn't usually happen until the directors are officially locked in. And that's exactly what we've seen here. The director of Thunderbolts has been tapped to lead the X-Men reboot, and Ryan Coogler is already deep into developing Black Panther 3. Once filmmakers start shaping the vision, casting naturally follows, and that's why it makes perfect sense that names are beginning to leak now. It also explains the secrecy. For roles this massive, Marvel knows there's no way they can keep everything under wraps forever. Remember how Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby's names floated around for months before they were officially announced? The same cycle is starting again, and fans should expect more of these leaks as the decisions get closer to finalized. In other words, we're in that gray area where Marvel won't confirm anything yet, but insiders are already picking up signals from behind the scenes. And that's exactly when speculation runs wild. And here's where the speculation explodes. Every time a new casting leak drops, fans immediately ask the same question: what does this mean for Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars? After all, these two films are being billed as the next Infinity War and Endgame. The ultimate crossover events that will define an entire era of the MCU. According to insiders, Avengers Doomsday is shaping up to be a farewell tour for Marvel's legacy heroes. It's the stage where familiar faces, from the original Avengers to the Fox-era X-Men, could make their final stand. And then comes the wildest rumor of all, that Dr. Doom himself could enter the picture and wipe entire teams off the board in one devastating move. Imagine seeing fan-favorite mutants introduced, only for them to be obliterated before Secret Wars. It might sound extreme, but Marvel has done it before. Infinity War ended with half the universe turned to dust, paving the way for Endgame to deliver the biggest comeback in cinematic history. A similar setup with Doomsday and Secret Wars wouldn't just shock fans, it would reset the board, making way for this younger generation of heroes to rise and carry the MCU forward. So while casting talk might seem disconnected from these giant event films, the truth is that every decision Marvel makes now is tied directly into the future of those two movies. And that's why these leaks matter so much. They're not just about who plays who, they're about what direction the MCU is headed. So now the big question: who do you want to see step into these roles? Could Damson Idris carry on the mantle of T'Challa, or would you take a chance on a complete newcomer like David Johnson? And when it comes to the X-Men, do you want Marvel to cast familiar faces, or should they go all in on a fresh generation of talent? The truth is, we're still in the middle of this storm. Some of these names will turn out to be nothing more than rumors, while others will be confirmed in the coming months. But one thing's certain: Marvel is laying the foundation for the next decade of the MCU, and the choices they make now will define everything we see in Avengers Doomsday, Secret Wars, and beyond. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I really want to know who you'd cast. And if you enjoyed today's breakdown, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for daily Marvel updates, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what comes next. As always, thank you for watching. The speculation has only just begun, and the next few months are going to be a wild ride.